Now with another thing that I put in the group is also that if you can, after each of the study group sessions, if you can create a small video of say 5 to 10 minutes max explaining any concept from this. So the idea of this is that maybe each of us in the study group pick a concept that we want to explain, and then we will create a video on top of that. So for example, something like this. So you see, like you will find small videos that are just about one particular concept. So this is like a okay. Sorry. Okay, so like you can see this is like solidity fundamentals, and this is the lesson 7 that they have shot, which is state variables versus local variables, and they're talking about like so yeah. So basically, if you want, you can prepare some slides like this, or you can just have one or two slides. So I will give you a slide template as well. I will prepare that by tonight. Tonight is difficult, maybe tomorrow or day after. I will prepare the template, which will be just the beginning slides, like maybe with women of Starknet, some branding, nice stuff. You can put your image. You should put your image because this will also be like for your branding, right? And I will publish it on Twitter, and I also have a community called the Phoenix Guild Women. I will publish it on that Twitter as well, right? And then we can bundle up together and make like a course which is made by all women. That is my vision, right? And instead of putting slides like this, actually this video is a bad example. You can also just go through like storage, so you can make a video which is on storage. So you just go through this page, explain what this does, and then run this particular small contract on Dreamix. That's it. Similarly, you can pick another concept like constructor, like explain what is a constructor. If you want, you can add some slides for yourself. Otherwise, just use this page to explain. So it makes your video simple, and you don't have to prepare much like complex stuff. And you can prepare a video between 5 to 10 minutes, right? So if you want to have another example, write it yourself. That also you can do. So that way between us we will try to prepare videos on all the as many concepts as possible, and once we are done with at least 13 videos until the basics, then we will start announcing this as a course that people can come and watch, and it will be open source, right? So that's also one of the things I wanted to do with this study group. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. I've just briefed about the study group. Any questions?
Yeah, hi Gayan. So we need to do it after every class, like before the
Yeah,
next lesson.
better to do it after every class because that way it will be a good revision of that study session. And other thing is you will not be lazy. Like if you pile up all the concepts towards the end, I will 100% write and give you that you will not do it.
And
So
we do it individually, right?
yes.
Yeah.
If you want to pair together and also do it, I mean, it's up to you. Individually doing will be nice. So you can all take up a storage example, maybe write your own storage contract, just change the name of the variable. Some small tweaks you can do, or use the same one, it's okay. And if you want to do it in your language, you can use the documentation and add your language as voiceover. So maybe if you're comfortable with French, Russian, so many other languages, like I can speak 5 languages, so Hindi, Tamil, whatever you are comfortable with, it makes for diverse material. So even if the content is the same, different people study differently. So some people may like your content versus some people may prefer someone else's. So we will have a bandwidth of content with us as well. If it is different languages, it will be nicer, but if you feel comfortable with English, just go for it. Think of this as just as your homework kind of thing, something to solidify your concepts, because the best way to solidify something is by teaching it. And even if you're recording a video by yourself, you're actually teaching. So that solidifies concept by concept for you. And I feel like I can visualize if people are doing it, then it will be a really nice like a course that Women of Starknet produced as an open source course for people to get onboarded to Starknet. So that will be a nice collective effort and something that we produced after spending an hour studying something together, right? So
That's actually a great idea.
yeah,
To be honest.
it's like proof of work.
Yeah, yeah.
And for that course, I wanted to just spend, I'll just spend another 5 minutes spending some time on sharing some tips and tricks on how you can produce the course. So I use, let me share my screen. Hey, Ellen. So we were just discussing that basis the curriculum. I would like all of us after our sessions to pick up any one topic and make a small video on it for 5 to 10 minutes. So like a single topic, for example, how they have in Solidity, which is like local variables versus state variables, and they explain the concept. Actually, here they are not. They are showing the code as well on Remix. So something. So that's the context, and I'm just showing like some tools that you can use to make the video. So I use this thing called Loom, right? I have a pro subscription for it. So I can shoot a video of up to how many ever minutes actually. But if you don't have a subscription, you can shoot a maximum of 5 minutes for free in this. So I really like Loom because I have done a lot of courses on Loom. So it will look like this, and yeah, I'm just trying to open it up. Yeah. So it will look like this full screen. You can decide to capture the full screen. You can decide to. I suggest to have your face on because it is important from a branding perspective and just from a proof of work perspective, right? That and even from a learner perspective, if you have your face on in the video, the learner knows who they are learning from. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of PPTs and it's like nothing, right? So, and your face is very smaller, so it doesn't matter much what background you have or something. As long as you have good light on your face, it should not be too dark. So, right now, mine is not appropriate because there are lights all over, so it's reflecting on my glasses. But if I find a better space with just good enough lighting for me, and even just this like room lighting or whatever background is just fine, right? You can also blur your background and stuff. So you can do a bunch of things with the Loom. It allows you to do that. And I just start. You see, it's showing 5 minutes recording limit because in this new Women of Starknet email ID that I've logged in into, I don't have pro access. So actually, it is a good way to start if you are doing small concepts because you don't want your video to go over 5 minutes, right? Um, but in case you want to feel a bit, so this is one option, right? This will record your full screen. So if I start recording, it will show me, for example, 3 2 1, right? And then it just starts recording. So I say like, hello everyone, welcome to this course by Women of Starknet. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about constructors. So let's look into this and blah blah blah, whatever, whatever, right? So it will show you the timer here. You can pause in case something went wrong. You can pause, you can start again, say okay, hey, and then you do whatever, right? Or if you want to look at some material, you forgot something, you can pause, go and look at something and come back. So it has nice features. You can also completely stop it, you can finish the recording, and then it gives you a link over here, right? You can download this and upload it on YouTube as well. And you can also edit this even on the platform. It gives you some features to edit and all that. So that's why I like the tool and I use it often. This is my choice of tool. But again, without pro subscription, doing 5 minutes is very, very hard. If especially if you are not used to building concise courses before. So another option, which is a free option and easier option, is to just use Zoom. Okay. So for those who have not heard of Zoom, it is a platform to actually do videos. I mean, to have video calls like we're having right now. But the best thing about Zoom is you can also just have a video call by yourself. So if you sign in, right, and let's say I sign in with like Women of Starknet or something, and the cap for a video call is about 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes in Zoom. You don't need that much to record a video. Whatever. Okay. This is my original age. So yeah, I'm turning 34 tomorrow. Wow, many years have passed since I lived on Earth.
Yes.
Thanks. So, if you want to start a video over here, like if you want to record a video, let's say, you can schedule a meeting just with yourself, right? Whatever, Gyan recording constructors or something, right? And then you can just say save, whatever. I didn't make much changes over here, and then you can say start. The meeting will start, right? You open up Zoom, and you can once you share your screen in Zoom, your video will become small. So, okay, I have to do a bunch of different things. Okay, so you see here, okay, so you can see that I have my Zoom, and then you can just record. So, if I share my screen, for example, on Zoom, so you see my video has become small now, and I can just record this. So I can say, recording hi everyone, welcome to this Women of Starknet series in which we are going to be covering a lot of different topics that will talk about Starknet and Cairo. And in today's topic, I'm going to be talking about constructors. So let's see what are constructors and how they work. So whenever you're done with recording, you can stop sharing and you can stop the recording and it will give you the recording. Stopped. Okay, thank you. So you end your Zoom, you get out. Your recording will be available, on either your computer, so you can save it on your computer on your local, and then you have your recording, so you can just upload this to YouTube. So you see you have, and you can edit it on your laptop if you want it. I If you are recording a course for the first time, I say don't worry too much about editing and all that, and you can just close that. Yeah, so two tools. Zoom is free again. Sign in was free. You saw me sign in. I just created a new account and I signed in and I recorded something. It will be quick, it will be small. It is free, so you can use it. Again, Loom is free, but it gives you only 5 minutes. Zoom is infinite minutes. You can record and then download. If you want to edit, go ahead. If not, then it's just fine. Make sure that there isn't too much background noise when you're recording stuff, and or you can, and once you have the video, you can run it through some online tools as well to remove background noise. You'll get a lot of free tools, and if I find something, I will send it your way. I have iMovie in my Apple laptop, so I can just there is like a movie maker, so I just drag and drop the video and I can remove the background noise. So if you have Apple, you can use that directly. For other I think Windows or something, there might be some software. So um, yeah. So basically, if you find any other video recording tool that you are comfortable with, OBS or whatever, you can go with that. There is no restriction. These are just suggestions from my end. You can feel free to do however you please to do. Okay, Katya, you raised your hand. You had some question.
Yeah, just a quick mention that Loom, yeah, you can't download your video in Loom if you have a free account. You just only
Oh,
have a link. Yeah,
oh,
but
I see. Okay.
maybe you can publish it on YouTube from the Loom. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly, but you can't download it only if you have a
Oh, I see. So
account.
you only get it on Loom. Okay. Okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
In
just
that
just to
case,
let you know. Yeah.
one of the things I can try to do is maybe I can try to get a pro subscription for. Okay, let's do one thing. You girls take this weekend to just do your research and figure out what is the tool that you're most comfortable with. Let's say you're comfortable with Loom, or if you're comfortable with Zoom, whatever you prefer best. If you think Loom is like the best that you have used and you want to go with Loom, I can try to get a subscription from the foundation for Women of Starknet account. So I can share the credentials amongst all of those who are part of our study group, and we can use that collectively to create the recordings. And I can get a pro subscription for that. So I can try. I think it should be fine. So I will be able to get that. Just let me know if Zoom is your choice of tooling. Okay, I have a question that I see. Do we divide the concepts between us so that at the end we have a video for each one? Um, So I thought about this. Uh, I think it would be useful to divide the concepts, but I feel like there is a bit of coordination that is required. And in that, I don't want this coordination to be priority over you shooting the video. So if you feel like you're waiting on someone else to be like, hey, am I like to get confirmation whether they are shooting on a particular concept or not? So you are waiting on not doing the work, then I would say just go for it. Like, if you let's try to coordinate that if different people are able to pick different topics and we can bring that curriculum together. But in case it is happening in a way that people are not able to shoot, or they are not comfortable or something like that, just go ahead by yourself, pick concepts one by one and record. So if you have a recording that someone else also has, there is no harm in it, because the more content we have, the better it is, like always, for at least at the moment for Starknet. Because the one thing we don't have as much on social media or YouTube, etc., is content. So the more content we have, the better it is, even if the same concept is explained by different people. Another way to look at it is different people explain concepts differently as well. So, it might be nice to also see someone else explain the same concept you did in a bit different way. So, we can try to coordinate and see, okay, let these first 4 5 topics, who wants to pick up and stuff like that. I'll put on Telegram and we can have a poll and stuff. And, but if not, don't wait for it. Just get started whenever you are comfortable. Okay, perfect. Hi Hema, welcome to the study group. So we just quickly briefing you. We discussed like the structure of the study group. So there is a curriculum that I will share with you, which we will try to stick to in the sessions. But if not, there'll be a bit of up and down. And I wanted to introduce Charlotte, who will be the co-host for our sessions. So she will also be. I mean, she's actually not the co-host; she's a host also. So she and I will be alternating hosting the sessions. And we were discussing that after every session, whatever topics we have covered in the session, all of you can pick up some topics from there and create 5 to 10 minute explanatory videos. So I showed two tools. One is Loom and one is Zoom. Loom has a 5 minute mark on the free subscription. I'll try to get a pro subscription and get it from SNF. And Zoom, you can just set up a meeting with yourself, record it, and then you'll be able to see it on your downloads folder. So I can share like a small guide on that if people want it on docs as well. Okay. So as per today's agenda, we will cover intro to Starknet. So those who are new to Starknet, it's a kind of quick PPT that I run through. And we will get started with the basics of Starknet. We'll try to finish storage, constructor, and variables today. Okay. So let's get started. Let me just open up my PPT. So this is just for the first session, uh, because I'm not sure how many of you are new to Starknet, and I don't want to assume that you're all familiar. That's why. But we won't be covering any basics with theory sessions like that in any of the sessions going forward. We will only be focusing on the Starknet book. So the Starknet by example book. This is the content that we will be using. So only for today's session, I will cover some theory, just so it is not overwhelming for people. For people who have already familiar with theory, then please bear with me. Uh, yeah, I'm just showing an older presentation that I did during ECC. So Starknet at the moment is the cheapest L2, right? Layer 2. So for those of you who are not familiar with the terminology layer 2, layer 2s are also blockchain systems that are meant to scale, in most cases, to scale layer 1s like Ethereum, Solana. So Ethereum, Solana, Sui, Aptos, etc. They are all example of layer 1s. What that means is layer ones. Why do we call them layer ones? Because all of the work that is associated with the blockchain happens on that layer. So execution, settlement, consensus, execution, settlement, everything happens on that layer. In this case, in the case of layer twos, they act as a layer above layer ones And the thing that the problem that layer twos are trying to solve is basically to reduce the amount of money that people spend on computation on layer ones, because it is very expensive. And second is to increase the speed of computation. So what happens in layer twos is that layer twos take the heavy load of computation on themselves and do the computation, and the settlement happens on layer one. That's why they are layer twos. The number two indicating that there is a number one that they are associated with. So in the case of Starknet, we started off as primarily scaling Ethereum, and now we are also working on research proposals to scale Bitcoin as well. So our layer one right now is Ethereum, but potentially in an year and a half, a couple of years down the line, it could be Bitcoin as well. So, okay, this is me. For those of you who are not familiar, my name is Gyan, and I'm a developer advocate with the Starknet Foundation. And I'm also one of the co founders of a community called the Phoenix Guild, which is focused on getting more diverse people into the ecosystem. So, I'm based in India and I can speak a bunch of different languages. Okay, so just a quick introduction about Starknet. You might have heard a lot of different terminologies. Let me clear that up for you. So Starkware is the company that started doing a lot of work around Stark proofs, which is what Starknet is based on. And the first product that they created is called StarkX. I need to admit most people. Okay, no. Can I make someone as the co-host as well? So maybe you can admit people because I'm not able to. Charlotte, are you going to be available through the session? Then I can make you as a co-host. Okay, perfect. Okay, so you will be able to now admit more people. Perfect. Okay. So, Starkware is a company that started working with Stark proofs, and the first product that they created is called StarkX, which was a permissioned service providing bundling of Stark proofs. So, it was a layer two, but it was data. So, it's called Validium, which means that the way the data storage happens, it is not public, right? It's not permissionless. It is permissioned. So StackX is still running as a service, and this has been in production for over 2 years now. So this provided serves as Stark proofs as rollups. So if you know about companies like Sorare, Immutable X, these all of these used StarkX as the service, and some of the companies still continue using StarkX, right? Now, once they saw that Stark proofs can actually be used in production, then Starkware started working on a L2 rollup, which is permissionless. So that's how they came up with Starknet, right? So Starknet is what we are focused on, which is a permissionless layer 2 rollup built with Stark proofs, and it is open for everyone to build on top of. And the company that I work with, which is the Starknet Foundation, is a non-profit organization which is meant to help people um, build on Starknet. Okay, so today I'm just going to quickly cover why Cairo and why Starknet, because they both are interconnected. So why Cairo? If you just imagine that you are a space scientist and you have to save fuel, right? So you are on a space exploration program, right? So you have to figure out a couple of different things to launch a missile, right? Which is how to save fuel, what is the best launch window, what is the best trajectory of your missile, or of your spaceship, let's say. Okay, and as a scientist, you just hire a couple of engineers who will create, general purpose algorithms in Rust or something like that, right? So they have to take all of the numbers associated with these problems and put them in the form of computation, for which you need code. This is exactly why we use code, right? This is exactly why we use programs. So we can compute them. We can compute equations. We can compute mathematics. We can compute scientific equations using programs because we can compute them really fast with the help of machines. And in order to write the programs, we need some programming language. So in this case, let's say you're taking a general purpose programming language like Rust. So engineers write the program in Rust, and one of the issues is that the program is so heavy or the program is so compute intensive that you need a supercomputer to execute the program. And unfortunately, only your rival country has one. So in this case, what would you do? You would send your program to the supercomputer of the rival country. The supercomputer will execute it and it will give you a result. Now, the problem in this is if your result is not as expected, how do you know if the supercomputer malfunctioned or did a rival spy agency try to sabotage your piece of code? You'll have no idea as to what is the issue. So, in order to check whether the supercomputer malfunctioned, you will try to again execute this, right? But imagine that executing this piece of code is very expensive and it's very time consuming, right? So you will be spending a lot of money and time in verifying because you don't know whether you can trust or you cannot trust this rival country supercomputer, right? You have no idea how to what is how can you actually verify. So in this case, if you just switch your Rust code with a code piece of code in Cairo, you can send this piece of code to the rival supercomputer of the rival country, and it will not only give you a result, but it will also give you a proof. The proof is actually nothing but a proof of how this particular piece of code was run. It just gives you a proof of how the execution happened, right? So it's an execution proof, and you can verify whether the execution happened the way it was supposed to happen or not, right? So if the execution didn't happen the way it was supposed to happen, you will not be able to verify the proof and the proof will become invalid. So in this case, you are able to actually check whether a particular piece of code is valid, was executed the way it was supposed to be executed, without having to rerun that, without having to re-execute that. So if the execution is intentionally or unintentionally modified, the proof will be invalid. So you as an individual or as a scientist are able to keep with a regular computer, are able to keep a supercomputer honest, because this supercomputer is not only able to give you a result, but it is also able to give you a proof. And it's able to give you a proof because Cairo is a provable programming language. So in the case of Rust, it's not a provable programming language. It is just a programming language that executes and gives you a result. But because Cairo is a provable programming language, it not only gives you a result, but it also gives you a proof. So using Cairo, you can create provable programs. It runs on top of something called as Cairo VM as of now, right? And its syntax is very much inspired by Rust. So if you are a Rust developer or Rust programmer, it will be very easy for you to kind of learn Cairo. It has similar ownership as Rust. It is very strongly typed, and Cairo itself is a independent programming language. So it can be used outside of Starknet as well. And you don't need to know any complexity of ZK in order to learn Cairo. It's just another programming language, but a provable programming language. That's the difference. Okay, so we're going to skip through all that and we're going to go to why Starknet. What is the problem that Starknet is solving? So as I already mentioned before, Starknet is trying to scale layer ones, right? So what is the layer one problem as of today? When layer ones, for example, like Ethereum, produce a block, it says that, okay, the new state is 42. What does that mean? That whenever you do a transaction on Ethereum, there is a state change, right? So if you are transferring 5 Ether from one wallet to another wallet, wallet A to wallet B, now wallet A's balance changes from, say, previous balance was 10, it changes from 10 to 5, and wallet B's balance increases by 5. So there is a state change that is happening in both the wallets, right? And this state change is recorded on the blockchain, right, as a part of the transaction. So let's assume that there is a state change that is happening and the new state is 42. So in order to validate whether the state change is correct or not, we have a bunch of validators. This is the job of validators in Ethereum, right? They validate whether a new state change is correct or not. And in order to validate that, they will perform the entire computation again. So you arrived at the new state change after there was some computation, right? So, for example, the computation in our previous example is that you wallet A transferred some amount of money from to another wallet, wallet B. So there are different things you are validating. Whether wallet A has enough balance to transfer, whether wallet B is a valid address. So you're at the minimum checking these two things, right? So that's the computation that you're doing. So these validators will do the same computation and they will do this and they will validate whether the computation is correct and they will validate if the state change is correct. So according to the different consensus algorithms, different percentage of validators need to say that yes, the state change is correct. Then the block gets added to the blockchain. But if you think of and because of this, when there are a lot of transactions, you will have to validate a lot of different states, right? So it takes a lot of time, and Ethereum can potentially get congested when there are lots of transactions happening, and the gas fees becomes really high because the more gas fees that you give, the faster your transaction kind of gets picked up, right? So there is a gas fees fight. Now, in any layer two, right, including Starknet, which is able to create the proof, when if you're writing in Cairo, right, because the Starknet contracts you actually write in Cairo and deploy in Starknet. So you not only produce this block change, which is the execution part, you also produce something called as the proof, right? So you say the new state is 42. Here's the proof, right? So now the validators, instead of rerunning this entire execution and taking the same amount of time, they are just running a verification algorithm. So they will verify this proof. So they will take this proof and they will verify whether this proof is valid or not. So because of this, you can see that the amount of time that they are taking is reduced a lot, and the gas fee is also proportionately reduced quite a bit. So here are some timing. This is a slightly older chart actually, but you can see that as for if you think of a sequence, I mean, if you think of just uh, validating the blocks, the more blocks you have, the more time it takes. But from a verification perspective, it becomes constant after a period of time. So log n square. So when you think of validity proofs or ZK proofs, as they are calling it these days, it is nothing but when you have whenever you want to send your files, right, across systems, you actually compress them into a zip file and send them, right? So this is how you're actually generating the proof. You compress a lot of computation happening on, say, Ethereum, which is now, say, happening on Starknet. You compress all of this computation, right? And then you generate a proof that all of this computation is true. I mean, all of this computation was executed in a particular way. You generate a proof, and that proof goes to Ethereum, and Ethereum verifies whether that proof is valid or invalid. If it is valid, all of these transactions get added into the block. If it is invalid, they get reverted. So that's the way Starknet scales Ethereum. It is a use case of zero knowledge proof. So it's not exactly zero knowledge proof, it's validity proofs because the information is not completely zero knowledge, right? It is still available to see on Starknet. It is a public permissionless layer 2. So it's not completely zero knowledge, but it is validity proofs. You're able to check whether using the proof system, you're able to verify whether a particular computation is valid or not. That's validity proofs. So it is mostly used for compression, that is scaling Ethereum, right? And not necessarily privacy. You can also create privacy preserving algorithms, but you will have to write your own prover verifier logic on top of this. So Starknet itself is built to scale Ethereum and Bitcoin now. So why this is called validity proofs is because output can be verified without the inputs. So because you have a proof, you can verify whether the particular computation was correct or not. And because we generate validity proofs, Starknet is called as a validity rollups. And it is based on a proof system called Starks, not Snarks. So if you're interested more about Starks, I can share more material. And this is an efficient proving and verification methodology. So some comparison numbers, I don't think we have to go deep into it. Uh, okay, so the difference between Cairo VM and EVM, right? I will quickly explain this. Um, EVM is meant for compatibility. That is, people who are already familiar with Solidity, right? They can actually deploy. They are familiar with deploying on EVM based systems, right? Like you have ZK Sync, for example. You have Ethereum. You have Scroll, right? All of these are EVM. So they use the Ethereum virtual machine, but Ethereum virtual machine is not built or it's not optimized for proving purposes, right? Whereas Cairo virtual machine, which is built using Cairo itself, is optimized for proof systems. That is why with Cairo VM, you actually go for performance. And when you think of ZK EVM based, they are going more for compatibility, right? So ZK EVMs are nothing but you take EVM and you write them in the form of a ZK circuit. So it's a bit more complex, and you have different types of ZK AVMs. There, some are Ethereum compatible, some are Ethereum aligned. Um, so many different words. But ZK AVMs are more for compatibility purposes with programmers who are already familiar with Solidity. We have taken a little bit of the hard route with Cairo because Cairo is built for performance, high performance, optimized for high performance of proving. So in the long term, we see that having a lot of proofs will be a common thing, and settlement on layer ones is what will be more of the norm than actually having different types of other layer ones. There will be some layer ones that will prove to continue to exist, and most of them will be acting as settlement layers rather than execution layers. So you want a layer 2 which is optimized for performance, right? And that's why we have chosen the route of going Cairo VM. However, Starknet is eventually going to be poised as a dual VM, where we also have a ZK VM, which is Kakarot. So it's going to be Cairo VM and ZK VM, Kakarot, and you can use both of them. Right now, we prefer with going the Cairo route because it is the most performant at the moment. So just some notes from the Vitalik's ZK VM classification. I will share this later on. It's also available online. Okay, so yeah, again, just to summarize, Starknet is optimized for ZK Tech, increase computing power, lower gas fees. It is secured by Starks and settles on Ethereum. Has a powerful programming language Cairo, and there's no trusted setup required, so it's decentralized right out. Okay, dokes. Okay, so perfect. Are there any questions that I should address before moving on to the next step, which is getting started? Mm, let me check. Okay, audio. Oh no, audio has some issues. Seems like maybe I can switch to Google Meet or something next time. I don't know. Huddle has become better over a period of time, but it could be my speaker or something as well. I don't know. Okay.
Actually, there were no any issues from my side.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes Huddle has issues. I think sometimes it's seamless. I don't know. But okay, if let's try maybe another time. Because Huddle is a decentralized platform, I want to try and kind of, use this as much as possible. It uses DRTC, which is a decentralized networking sort of uh, spin on RTC. So, okay, we can try it. Maybe the next session, I'll keep a backup of Google as well. So everyone's kind of not uh, going off and on again. Okay. Uh, do we have any questions? I've also recorded this session, by the way, so I will share the recording as well. afterwards, and I will put it on YouTube. Okay, no questions. So today I just wanted to quickly cover like three topics. So in the basics of Starknet, okay. So Starknet smart contracts. I think this part, basics of Starknet, we have already covered. Basics of a Starknet contract, right? Here we will talk about what does a minimal contract look like, and I will try to also show you with Remix. You can execute this. Okay, this is a good time to also talk about this Remix plugin. So if you are used to programming in Solidity, then Remix, this ID should be familiar for you. If you go to this plugin manager and search for Starknet, you will find this plugin, right? And this is by Nethermind. So you can, mine is already activated. So here you will get a button called activate. Once you activate this, you will find this symbol, which is the Starknet symbol, right? So here you need to select an account. So by default, it gives you something called as remote devnet. So just for learning purposes, I think remote devnet is fine, and it will create an account for you. Just remember one thing, that all accounts in Starknet are account contracts. So all accounts by default are smart contract accounts. There is no concept of externally owned accounts. So when it's creating an account for you, it actually creates an account contract for you. So we will cover that subject, account abstraction, maybe in one of the uh, sessions briefly. So it will create an account for you. So this is your working environment. You're sorted, right? Yeah. Okay. So here you should see your account, and it has some balance. Okay, for you to work with. Now, when you want to create a new file, you can just create a new file. Let's say, okay, storage.cairo. Um, okay. So the first concept is, what does a minimal Starknet contract look like? So for a minimal Starknet contract, you need to have, first thing is your contract, right? So Starknet contracts are actually modules. Like how you have modules in Rust, you will write Starknet contracts as modules, right? So the keyword to create a module is mod, followed by the name of your contract, right? So this can be anything. This can be storage, this can be contract, whatever, right? And you can have, so let's say you have something called as simple storage, right? So you can write public module simple storage, and the bare minimum that your contract should have should be a storage struct. So whatever you want to store on chain, you, all those variables you have to declare inside this storage struct. So, so the bare minimum thing you need to have is to have a struct. It should be named also as storage, right? So, and then you need to have an annotation called storage to indicate that this is the storage struct. So, and then in on top of this module, you need to annotate that this module is a Starknet contract. In order to do that, you will use a hash, and you will say Starknet. So this is the Starknet library from which you are getting the contract object. So you are annotating this as a Starknet contract. Okay? So this is a bare minimum Starknet contract. So if we copy this and paste this, this is like the simplest, most basic Starknet contract. So you have a module which is, let's say, simple storage, okay, and then you have a struct called storage. Right now this is empty, so there are no variables that we are storing. You annotate the struct with storage, and you annotate the contract with Starknet contract, okay. And if you want to compile this, right, so you can say compile storage.cairo, right? So it will generate a bunch of files, which I will explain in the next one, because today we just keep it super simple. Okay. Now in Starknet, before deploying the contract, you have to perform another step called declare. So declaring the contract is actually telling the blockchain that this is the code that I'm going to deploy. So you have this stage called declaration. So first you compile your contract, then you declare your contract, right? Once you declare, you can deploy your contract. So these are the three stages. Once you deploy, you can of course interact with your contract as well. Right now it is declaring, so let it be. Yeah. So it has declared now. You can see that right here is succeeded. I will show you later on, maybe in the next session. We can choose to deploy on testnet and just go through a few things, and then you can deploy. Once you have declared, you can deploy your contract as well. So it is waiting for it. You can see it is rolling. It is deploying, and yeah. So it is waiting for the receipt. Okay. So done. It is deployed. Now you can read, right? We don't have anything. I told you it's a simple contract. There is nothing in this. So okay. So we don't have to worry about reading or writing anything. Can make it a little bigger. Okay. Now let's go back. So this is your basic contract structure. When you write any contract, first you have to write this. A module, name of the module, annotate it with Starknet contract, have a struct called storage. The name of the struct is fixed. It is storage. Annotate it with the storage annotation. Okay. And every contract must have only one and one storage. So all of the storage variables we have to define within one storage struct. So this is a key value store where each key will be mapped to a storage address of the contract storage space. So you have a key and a value. So let's go to this one, actually how you define the storage. So whatever variables that you have, which are permanent storage variables, right? Global variables that you want to access from storage, you have to declare them as a key value pair. So for example, in this case, the name of the storage variable is A and the type of the storage variable is U128. So if you want to see again different storage variables, right, you can actually check out the Cairo book. Sorry, to Starknet book only. So if you want to go through the variables, right, what are the different types of variables? You can go to common programming concepts and you see what are the different types of variables, right? So whatever are the different types of variables, enum, or you have integers, you have okay, in this they are not given types. So you have felt 252, which is a native variable type called field element, 252 bits, right? So it is field element is an important type in Cairo because Cairo is based on mathematics, which Charlotte is much more familiar than me, which uses field elements. So that's why felt 252 is a variable type that you will see often. Then you have U32, which is unsigned integer of 32 bits. You have I32. We don't have. I don't think we have. Ah, okay, so you can see we have unsigned integers. So what are the different sizes? You can see 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 128-bit. Then you can have decimals. This is the representation of the base representation, and the boolean type. So true or false, the type is bool. And then you have character type. So you can see that you have you can have as a fel 252 for short strings, right? And then you can have byte arrays for long strings. So whatever is your type of variable, all of that, if you want to keep it in permanent storage, you have to declare it inside the storage struct. So for example, whenever I want to say that I want to declare mappings, I want to declare mappings, hash maps, all of that I will have to put inside the storage struct, right? So if you think about this, one of the one of the key points to remember is both of these contracts have the same underlying compiled version. Okay, it's because this storage is not counted unless they are actually used. So storage variables don't exist until they are used. So the storage of this and the storage of this contract is actually the same, because so far in this contract we have not used the storage at all, right? We have only declared them. So this is an interesting point that you can also put in your video, that hey, do you know that the compiled version of this contract and this contract will be the same? It's because we are not using the storage at all. We have just declared it, right? And if you see the structure of this, it's the same. You have the module, the name of the module, then you have a storage struct, right, in which you have defined your storage variables. You have annotated with storage. Here you have annotated with Starknet contract. The keyword pub is actually to indicate that this contract is a public contract. Otherwise, you can, if you don't want to make it public, you can just write it as mod contract, which is also a contract, and in the form of a module. So, okay, any questions about storage and what a simple contract looks like?
I have a question. Sorry for the sound. How do we store, for example, Ether? Do we need to declare it in the storage, or it has automatically like we have the space to store Ether?
So you are asking how do you store like funds, right? Like message dot if so in Solidity, if I take the example, you can get the funds in like message dot value, right? Something like that. Is that how you are? That's your
Yeah.
question, right?
Do we need to declare something in the storage, like a contract storage specifically for storing Ether, for example?
No, no. So as of today, even Ether, which is you can use Ether to pay gas fee as well as say store it in the contract and do things with that. It also acts like a token. So like how you work with ERC20 tokens, right? Like you have a transfer function on them. You have the permission allowance function and all of that. The ether itself also will act like that only. So there will be an ether contract address for Starknet that you will have to use, and you will have to treat that as an ERC20. So you don't have to declare anything on the storage unless you want to declare something like the amount of ether that you are storing. So then that is just a U8 or U whatever U128 or 256. That's it. So
So
you
the
don't have to
amount
declare in
I'm
the
storing
storage.
on the contract, right? So then I declare it as a variable, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So you will treat that as a ERC20, the way you treat it.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, cool. Um,
Yeah, one more question. So we can have like several contracts in one file, right? Like
yes,
two or three pub contracts. Just yeah.
yes, yes, you can have. So let me see if there is like there's like a factory pattern or something. I don't know if they have an example, but uh, yeah. Oh, they have the. So you can basically, for example, in this example, they have given how to call one contract from another. But here, basically, like you have an interface, you have a contract, and you have another contract. So this is a callee contract, and this is a caller contract. You can have all of them in the same file. So it will be similar to like Remix, I mean your Solidity, where Remix will ask you which contract do you want to deploy, like that. So okay, so storage is fairly simple, right? And if you have any questions also, if you want to take your time with Cairo, go through the storage variables. Maybe one of you in your videos can cover the storage variables from Cairo, I mean the data types from Cairo book as well, and write some simple example contract with some other data type, like a tuple or something like that, right? That would be something interesting other than the existing example. Okay, constructor. So, for those of you who are familiar with programming, you might already know that constructor is a special kind of function which runs for the first time when you are deploying something. So, In normal programming, constructor is called when you actually first time when you call that program, right? A constructor is called at that time, and then onwards you call other functions. It is very similar to other functions, but it acts more like a entry point, that where do you enter into a program, right? So for the first time, how do you set up a program, right? Because a program is nothing but a business logic, right? Whatever we do in our day to day life in the business, we want to actually automate it. That's why we write programs. So programs are nothing but your business logic. But in order to write your business, in order to make your business run, make the functionality in your business is run, you need to set up the business, right? You need to set up the code, and that is your constructor, right? So as the name suggests, it constructs the code, right? It constructs the initial elements. It's more of an initializer of a piece of code. So constructors are a special type of function that runs only once when you are deploying the contract. So while you're deploying the contract, the constructor is automatically called, right? And it can be used to initialize the state of the contract. So as you saw in the previous example before, a constructor is not mandatory to have, but if you want to initialize the state of your contract, you can have a constructor. So you can have only one constructor. Why? Because logically, you are only able to deploy your contract once, right? So it is called when your contract is deployed. So you have only one constructor, and that constructor function must be annotated with the constructor attribute. So until this, we are already familiar now, right? We have public module, name of the contract, right? And then we have annotated it with Starknet contract, so we know it's a smart contract. And then we have a struct called storage. Inside that, we have declared some storage. Don't worry about this. We will come to this a bit later in mappings, right? And this is the name of the variable called names. And this is a type that you have not seen before. No worries, right? This is a type of this variable. Variable name is names. Variable name is names. And the type is legacy map, right? It is a mapping between a contact address and a FEL 252. Don't worry if you don't know any of these at this moment, right? You just know that this is part of storage. And then, so this part we are already familiar with, right? Here we are adding two more extra things. One is this statement called use. What the use statement does is it is very similar to an import statement. When we want to import something which is from an external library or an externally published piece of code, we use the statement use. So we are going to import something called as contract address, which is a type of variable to store the contract address, as the name suggests, right? So we are going to import this from the Starknet library, which is a published library, and I can share the GitHub link of this as well. So from the Starknet library, we are importing the contract address, right? So this is what this use statement does. So this is sorted. Now we are sorted until here, right? Now the new piece of code that we have is a constructor. As we already read, constructor is a special type of function. Please remember it's a function. It has some functionality to perform. So you will use the function keyword, which is fn, right? So fn is the keyword to define a function. So here we are defining the constructor, right? And it should be annotated with the constructor attribute, right? And then inside the constructor, so these are all arguments of the constructor function. Don't worry about this ref self and all of that. So here it is basically taking a contract state, right, as a reference variable. It is taking a name which is of type FEL 252. It is taking an address which is of type contract address as arguments. Don't worry about the type of the arguments. We will come to that in the next chapters. And it is taking the self object from here, and it is you taking the name from the storage, and it is writing to the storage the address and the name, right? So this is what the constructor is doing. Basically, it is initializing and it is giving a name to the contract address. That's it. It is providing a name to the contract address. whatever contract address we send in during initialization and a name that we send, it is going to initialize, right? Now, since this has some action to perform, let's take this. Let's create another called constructor. So when you're recording your video also, try to showcase with an example. So it is easier for people to also see that this works. There's not just a dummy piece of code, right? So here, and one more thing that you can also quickly see here is to write comments in a Starknet contract, we can use // right? So let's save this. Let's go to our plugin, right? In order to compile, you can say compile this. So it is compiling this to a file called Sierra. So Sierra is oh my god, something has happened. Let's see why. Oh, because legacy map it's not found. Oh, because it is deprecated. Okay. So this legacy map doesn't exist anymore. Uh, let us see. Yeah, it recently got deprecated. I'm going to find out mapping. Sucks. Oh, so they in the mapping chapter also then they must be using legacy map. Yeah. So this data type is now deprecated. I want to find a substitute for this. Ah, okay. So now we have this dictionaries. So which is basically doing the mapping. So I'm going to create a dictionary. So I can use this like basically the use statement. I can have it outside or inside. So depends on whether you're writing multiple contracts, then you may want to use this. But in this case, it's just one contract. So they have declared it inside. Okay, I'm gonna say file 252 tick. But one catch in this is that the dict key is always standard. So the dict key will always be felt 252.
Yeah, I just quickly googled. They have now maps instead of legacy maps.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I will put quickly the example in the chat. Uh,
Oh,
it's just a map, not a legacy map.
okay. Oh, perfect. So let's just use this. And do I have to import it or does it exist?
Yeah. Just a second. I will copy this. Um, yeah, starting storage map.
Oh, okay, perfect. So let me import it. And okay, perfect. So then I presume that this will remain the same syntax. I think it's just right.
Oh, I guess so.
Let's see for ourselves.
Uh,
Let's compile and see. Oh no.
no.
It is saying mismatch core file 252.
Oh, it's. I will show you the example. Um,
Oh no no no! It is my bad because
right.
Did
This is
I just copied your example as it is without changing the data type. It is actually fell 252 here, but I made it 256. As in
because
your example was 256. I just
yeah,
copied it as it.
right is also different. As you can see, like entry, right.
Oh, I see. But it compiled now. Let me see. No, 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 it didn't. No, did it? Uh, yeah, it compiled now, I think. Yeah, I did. So, okay. So you can see that in constructor, so in constructor, name and address are required fields. So I will give some name, Gyan account, to this account itself. So I'm going to copy this account address. It asks for a contract address. So remember that every account is a contract. So I'm just going to first declare, and then for deployment, I will just add the name and the address that I have already from here. Okay, so declaration is successful. I'm trying to deploy. Okay, let's wait. Okay. Oh, there are no functions but that are exposed. But anyway, okay. So you saw the use case of constructor, right? So while deploying, it asked me for a name. So basically now this account is tagged with this name. That's what it is doing. It is just setting an initial name for an account address. And something new that I also learned that it is legacy map is changed to map. So superb.
Could you
Okay.
please show it again? How did you copy the contract address?
So I just went to this down and then I clicked on this button.
Oh, it's account address. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can actually copy any other account address. Like I could go down, I could pick, and then I can switch back and I can do whatever. So
Yeah, got
and
it.
then I did the click back. So we are just creating an initial address and name mapping for this particular contract. And you can see that the way constructor, while deployment, it asked me for the name and the address. And I gave that and it is deployed successfully. So that's pretty much about the constructor actually. It is very simple. You know, you have a function, it's a function, first of all. You can name it constructor just to know that it is constructor, right? But you have to still annotate it with constructor. So hash constructor, and then you give some parameters that you want to, whatever action you want to perform in your constructor, and it will perform that particular action, right? It will write actually this address to this name, and it will create a permanent storage of that. Okay. I know we are a bit over time, but maybe let me know if you want to continue, then I can continue the variables or we can take it up in the next session. So maybe storage and constructor for this session and we can move the variables to the next session. Let me know because we are already little 19-20 minutes over time. So if you're saturated like in your minds, then we can stop. But if you want to go,
It's
then I
very
can go.
is not an easy topic, so maybe it's better to leave it for the next time.
Yeah, we can do that. Oh, Aya, you have an error that server local Katana is not healthy or not reachable. Maybe just try to refresh. Sometimes it happens. Like mm, did you can just put click on this, bring it down, click on remote. Are you doing remote devnet or local devnet? Because I think you are selecting local Katana devnet. That is why it is saying it is not reachable. So you can
No,
select this. Mhm. No,
I'm. Yes, I am in remote.
in remote, can you select again and just go back? Sometimes it will take a bit of time because for you the error says local Katana DevNet. So I don't know whether it is trying to automatically do like this one. No account selected. See, so maybe you wanna just swap again to remote DevNet and then try to like click on this drop down. Then sometimes it will produce the account. It takes some time. You can refresh as well. See if that works.
That's good now. Thank you.
Okay, okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit think a lot of things are still like people are working on this. But if you find any bugs otherwise on Remix also let me know. I can talk to the Remix team and get that fixed. Okay, so is it okay? Katya mentioned that maybe we can move variables to the next session. So is that like public consensus that you want to move variables to the next session? If everyone's okay with it, we can move it to the next session. Okay. Okay, perfect. So remove that and I will. Okay, so we have one more. I've moved mappings to session 3 and I made syscalls as optional. So that's an optional topic that if you have time, then we can go for that. Otherwise, okay, oh, color is not good. Okay, so basically, I was just making some changes in the curriculum. I will share with you all again this one. Uh, Let me share my screen. So I try to make now because we moved variables from here to this one. So trying to keep three topics per session. In this one, because we had intro to Starknet today, it took a bit more of time. But I think you should easily be able to complete variables, visibility, and counter example in the next session in 1 hour. Then in the third session, I moved mapping from here to here and made syscalls as an optional topic. So you can also just self read and then we can discuss in the group and stuff. So other things as of now, just keeping it as this. Okay, perfect. Any questions for the day? So today, to recap, we did an introduction to Starknet. We did storage, a simple Starknet smart contract, which is a storage contract, and then we also discussed constructors. So these are the storage and constructors. This is the structure of a Starknet smart contract, what it looks like. How do you run? How do you compile, declare, and deploy a simple smart contract? So all of this we have covered as of today. Uh, so I think we are good. So any questions?
So what about homework? So now we need to create a video by these two topics, or
Yes, yes. You can actually also use like you can also do like a nice intro to Starknet kind of maybe 5 minute video if you want to, because that's a topic we have covered as well. Like, not many people know why what does Starknet do. So that could also be interesting and it's a good research topic as well. If you want to do that, that's an option. But if you directly want to jump in and do the coding stuff as well, that will be cool. Uh, so you gotta okay. So right now, Zoom is the free option. Use Zoom to do your videos. By next week, I will try to get the Loom subscription. Just after confirming once with the team if we can get it reimbursed, or it's fine. I will just do it. I can fund it, not a problem. So we'll get a Loom subscription, and we will record our videos. Just it's nicer to edit and stuff. And for now, just use Zoom and. By next Monday, can I get some of your videos? Okay, so Katya, Aya, and Hema, at least 3 videos by next Monday. I will expect in one topic. You can all do the same topics, or you wanna split the topics. What do you wanna do?
yeah, our sessions will be on Wednesdays, right?
Yes,
Can I do the video in French
sure.
or?
Yeah, sure. That would be nice. But you will, so then whatever language you all are choosing, just make sure that you have consistency. So all of the videos you do in French. So that's when we can release the entire course as a French course.
I will watch video in French with great pleasure. I will learn French and coding
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
same time.
See, the
Okay.
interesting thing will be like we can also just amongst ourselves learn different languages because most of the names of technical terms will actually remain the same. You will say Starknet as Starknet. You will say Cairo as Cairo. But you will say compile. Maybe you will use some other word. I don't know. So like it will be nice, I think, to also just like learn. It will be fun, I feel. Okay, I will take up the challenge to do it in maybe Hindi or something, some other language. So it will be fun, or maybe Tamil. I don't know. I'll see. Lots of Indian languages, so I have options.
I had this idea to start record videos for a long time, and there was no one who could push me. But Gaia finally did
It's
it.
time now.
That's perfect.
It's
Thank you.
time. It's time. Okay,
Yeah.
girls. Okay. So I will see you all next Friday. Charlotte will be hosting. Sorry, next Wednesday. Charlotte is also based in. Will be based in